Welcome back to The Edge. Brand authority is announced this week at MozCon. New Google framework is being called TW-BERT, and it will actually improve search ranking without major changes. Google wants AI to be able to scrape anything, not explicitly opted out by publishers. Yeah, that's going to go well. You're listening to News from The Edge for the week of August 7th, 2023, here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
This is Aaron, and they're always looking for my lucky charms. No, couldn't pull that off. I'm sorry.
Your explosive lucky charms, they'll blow your ass to pieces. That's what we used to sing as a kid. You ever heard
That was the wrong commercial. No.
This is the wrong time to bring up that Lucky
double-
Charms is the
you
newest
also double-
sponsor.
you also double for an ad for X-Lax.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm Aaron. That's Mordy. This is Jacob. Thanks for joining The Edge.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
We're just going to start over. We're covering the SEO news and digital marketing news of the week, separate from our weekly interview series at Edge of the Web Radio. Check that out. Thanks for being a brand new listener or a returning listener. I was listening to the show last week. I was like, yeah, we pretty much were ostracizing anybody that were just coming across this. And I'm so sorry that this is the first thing you hear. But, you know, hey.
Well, yeah.
I mean, how many shows have two intros?
Exactly. We'll keep on doing this until we get it right. Check out everything over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. This is the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. Proud to have them as a title sponsor of Edge of the Web. Very proud of our team here at Site Strategics, one of the top SEO companies in our region of the U.S. We're consummate learners, and that's the reason why we do this show, is to be able to learn how to do an intro right. Evidently, we still have a lot to learn. We'll talk about what we really do for our clients here in a little bit, but check us out over at sitestrategics.com. Joining me this week to get his take on all the things newsworthy is Mordy Oberstein, the head of SEO branding at Wix, and proud papa of the 50th episode of SERPs On, an SEO podcast. How about that?
On?
SERPs On?
Oh my God.
SERPs On?
That's a new one.
The proud papa of SERPs Up. 50th,
Thank you.
50th podcast.
And congratulations for you for 50 episodes of producing the SERPs Up podcast. Although clearly you haven't been listening because you don't know the name of it.
Welcome back to Web at the Edge.
This is terrible. Dude, I just got back from vacation.
Edge of the Web.
Oh, my Lord. All right. Well, congratulations, sir, for 50 episodes. It was an awesome episode. You had how many guests, all the different cuts on that?
20.
Like 20 different
altogether.
cuts.
22.
Yeah. 20
22.
cuts that you had to edit.
Yeah. That was a bunch. So what's
No,
happening with
20
Morty
cuts.
this week?
That's let's see. We launched Wix Studio since I've been gone. I wasn't here last week. Crystal was here last week. I think she talked about Wix Studio, but check that out.
Yeah.
Great new dashboards for SEOs and marketers to help manage your clients, and you can access the CSS and a whole bunch of AI stuff. So everyone loves AI stuff,
That's fun.
right? CSS, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Who would
absolutely.
have thought? Oh, I can access the CSS inside of Wix. Now you can.
I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. All right. Well, cool. And you guys are also at MozCon this week, George and
George and Crystal
were
and
out
Kobe were at MozCon.
Cool. Cool. Did they have
Like, they had a great time. Had a great dinner. I totally missed it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Why weren't you there?
I was moving. I'm going to Brighton SEO in November to San Diego,
Mhm.
and then I'm going to International Search Summit in November in
That's
Barcelona.
November. It's not. This is literally August.
Right. But if it's like in a 3-month
Ah.
span, if I left my wife with the 4 kids on her own,
Gotcha.
it's too much.
I got
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Now take her with you and leave the kids behind.
I was thinking about taking her with me to Barcelona.
See, that's
I'm not
always
sure to do
fun.
with my kids though.
It's on the air now. She listens to this show.
She does
Right.
not listen to this show. I
You
told
heard
my
it.
brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is in town, and he's like, "Oh, I got to go do a podcast. So there's an SEO podcast." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I do 3 of them."
Any things that you're recording yourself in your basement, right?
You're on like half of them, aren't you?
I think you're on half of the
Yeah.
SEO podcast.
And I started another one, left that one aside.
Yeah, you did. You keep on doing it until something clicks, and evidently the SERPs On podcast is clicking.
It's on.
You gotta spin that off as a separate one. Yes.
Me
Surf's
too.
up. Very proud of it. Congratulations. Let's move on to the news. Let's go. All right. Search Engine Journal from Christy Hines. Moz launches brand authority metric at MozCon with the top 500 U.S. brands list. They actually introduced a new metric, just like they've had domain authority for over a decade. Brand authority is enabling businesses to measure online brand strength. They introduced this new metric at MozCon. It basically gives a comprehensive brand performance index for marketers and PR professionals. That's pretty cool. And with brand authority, says Christy, companies can optimize their ROI, evaluate sales prospects, and gauge the influence of media brands that carry their stories. So it's an interesting index of, it's a brand new set of criteria and algorithm that they're actually rolling out for measuring this. And this is interesting that we're moving away from domain authority to brand authority, but it's high time because this is the factor of trust and authority and expertise. I think that's behind the entire thing right there, to be able to have that level of criteria to look at strength as opposed to any type of domain-specific web properties. I mean, if they're measuring what I believe they could be measuring, there's a heck of a lot of behavior analytics that are behind those entities. Would you agree with that, Mordy?
I agree. I mean, I think if I understand what they're doing, and they weren't exactly explicit, which makes sense because you don't want other tools to know exactly what you're doing. But if they're looking at, for example, if they're looking at search volumes around your brand, the search volumes are going up around your brand. So you're obviously doing something where people are searching for your brand. That means your brand is more authoritative. Obviously, I'm sure that there are way more complicated metrics that they're using, but just using that as like a one little like microcosm of what they're trying to do, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And it's kind of shows that's a way better, in my opinion, a way better way of gauging authority than looking at links per se.
There you go. Absolutely. So this is interesting. I'd love to catch the presentation on this one. The ability to increase ROI with brand authority. The metric officially debuted at MozCon, their annual conference. And what they're intending to do is expand to new brand data with more regions by 2024. So regions, are we talking geographical regions? Are we talking about industrial regions? They got the top 500 brands.
Maybe you're blocked. Like, who's the most authoritative person on the block?
There you go.
Me.
Hey, on the block?
Yeah.
Who's the biggest brand on the block? We're going to take them on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
It's not Johnson next door. That guy's a schmuck.
All right. Well, have you looked at the new tool yet?
No, I haven't had a chance yet, but it is interesting. And I do like the direction. It kind of just shows you really quickly. It just kind of shows you the direction where marketing is heading.
Yeah.
Where brand presence, brand power is really coming more into focus more and more for a whole heap of reasons, AI including one of those reasons. But I would double down on brand marketing if I were you.
Yep. I would agree. Hey, you know what? You double down your digital marketing with Site Strategics. We're a 19-year-old digital marketing firm. Our core specialties are entity, SEO, technical SEO, search engine marketing, social media, web development, conversion rate optimization, all the things. We also do this podcast, and we've learned how to do a really good job at webcasting, podcasting, live streaming, and the like. We also use these services to be able to curate and create some subject matter expertise for our clients. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, give us a call at 877-SEO for web or 877-736-4932. Second, wasn't that a wonderful transition? That was just slick.
It's like you planned it.
It's almost like that. Yeah.
This is what podcasters do. I do this in the same way with Surf's Up. When they have a good pivot, you give yourself a nice little pat in the back. The problem is, though, when you do that, you've killed the pivot.
It's like a dad joke.
I always think the same, like, why did I just do that? I killed the pivot. But you have to like pat yourself in the back.
At the moment, yes.
See, you told me it was a literal pat on the back, and now I understand why I've had rotator cuff surgery, because I've constantly...
Well, somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You know who deserves a pat on the back?
Who's that?
That's Google.
All right.
From an article over at Search Engine Journal by Roger Monti, Google's ranking algorithm research now introduces TW-BERT, or TW-BERT. Yeah, we'll go with that. TW-BERT. So there's a Google research paper that describes a remarkable framework called TW-BERT that improves search ranking without requiring major changes. Now, there's a deep dive here that we will not do justice in this small, quick excerpt here, but check this out. It's an end-to-end query term weighting framework that actually bridges two different paradigms to be able to improve search results. That's the analytical, the statistical paradigm, right? And then the other paradigm, which is much more of a semantic contextual paradigm. All right. This is what's interesting here is that if you know what BERT was, it was the connector factor of what was the intent of that query to be able to actually understand what the two words actually had a relationship to. But what they're doing is now weighting the terms individually based on intent connected with BERT. And now they've got a factor of understanding far beyond what BERT was doing. Now, I'm not going to speak for Google. This is a first blush at what this new algorithm feature is, but check out the example they gave. So in the research paper, they talked about Nike running shoes, right? There are three words that have a ranking algorithm that it must understand in a way that the searcher intends to be used. So you can't emphasize running part of the query because that will actually surface a lot of irrelevant search results that have no association to Nike, right? The brand name Nike is important, obviously, because of the ranking process that should be required. The candidate web pages actually contain the word Nike, and the running shoe phrase connection should actually be a higher weight than the individual shoes themselves. So they have an AI system that's actually now looking at the combination of the conjoined phrases and weighting them individually and finding up the best pairing of factors that will then work towards a better set of query results. So again, behind the scenes, and I'm not doing this at all justice, but what it seems to be is that now they're weighing semantic relationships much higher, not just understanding intent, but also understanding those n-grams and the relationships that these terms actually have to each other, and then ascribing those values to the index and bubbling up to the surface the best pages that match the intent of that query. Would you agree, Mordy, or am I completely off base?
No, it's pretty cool, right? So BERT was bi-directional, so you can understand what happened before and happened after,
Right,
in the context of the page. So it's more contextual, therefore greater understanding. And it makes a lot of sense now that you're able to better weight the words in a query. Right? That's super cool, right? That would theoretically help you understand what's important, not important in a query, and then serve better results.
right.
It's interesting to know like what exactly changed. I mean, first of all, wait, caveat, we don't know for sure if this is actually implemented or not. Roger was speculating that it probably is because like, why wouldn't you kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know for sure. But it's definitely interesting, like the weighing of words, especially in longer tail queries. I think like the Nike running example is like, okay, like, it's like a pretty simple example.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to know, like they would really need to understand how to weigh running in shoes, or understand like running shoes is just an entity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And buying, because it didn't have a problem a year ago with Nike running shoes. But I
Yeah.
think for longer tail queries, right, where you start running into problems of what words do you actually end up focusing, or should you end up focusing on, then the weighing does become super important. And having the contextual understanding to be able to weigh those would be really helpful.
I heard you say entity, and it just spawned. Are we looking at a search query entity fluid mapping? That is, we've got knowledge graph out there.
When we say fluid mapping, I'm imagining a map of water.
All right. Well, that's not what I was talking about. Much more
Okay.
of a continual push and pull of the query that has a background of the kind of the orbits of these entities around themselves, and the more and more the AI is learning from the queries that users are putting in, it's establishing real time a much more weighted relationship of these concepts. So that would then feed the knowledge graph side of things ever more fluidly. You see what I'm saying there?
I think it would have to be able to pick out like an entity. Like I'm trying to think of a good like a car seat.
Sure.
No, so that's like, it's not car seat, it's car seat. That's an entity. They need to be able, and they are able to pull out when individual phrases or individual words, and when the phraseology represents an entity. So car seat isn't a seat in a car. Almost always is going to be a car seat where you put a baby.
Or a child, right, and all the different
Child,
nuances
right.
of that. Exactly.
Right. And using the context of like, I need to buy a new car seat for like the driver, like then like the driver would be an indicator that, okay, it's not car seat because babies don't drive cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's an actual, you need to replace the seat in the car.
There's a lot more to this, and I think we actually do need to expand upon this. So I think we've had these conversations about entities for the last number of years here, Morty, and I think what's coming through this research paper is a convergence of a lot of different disparate things. I mean, it could very well be that we now are going to start seeing this new continual forming knowledge graph, very similar, fluid, just like T1000, right? It's constantly fluid as opposed to the old Terminator. We're going to have the new AI Terminator that is constantly morphing.
How has he not done the Terminator?
I don't know.
Because I don't remember which button it is.
Oh my God! You have
I'll
one
play
job.
the wrong. Okay, fine. Let's try this one.
Lucky guess.
You
Lucky
only
guess.
have one sound.
No, I don't. I have 5.
But
But I think that's an important point, going back to the actual
article
discussion,
Yeah.
that there's more than one thing happening when Google's parsing out a search query. It's like, okay, we're weighting the words. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of things happening simultaneously.
And that's amazing. Just reading this article, you get that impression of, okay, what in the world's actually happening? And also it's understanding the expansion of different synonyms as it's understanding your query and literally banking on what it's learning from its audience, which is billions upon billions of searches each and every day, right?
Yeah, this is cool. We haven't talked this up in a long time.
No, that's good stuff. We need to pivot around and actually unpack this thing. This is good Scrum material right here, folks. It really is. Well, Scrum's quick, but our Scrums usually last an hour or so. All right, third article here. Check this out. Google says all online content should be available for AI training unless publishers opt out. This is from Search Engine Land from Nicola Agius. Google wants AI to be able to mine all digital content unless publishers opt out. The search engine has put forward this proposal in a submission to the Australian government calling on policymakers to change their current copyright laws. All right. Take this thing on here, guys, is that we're literally saying, Google's saying that, hey, you know what? If your content's out there, it really should be trainable for our AI engines.
I just want to know why. Why should it be? I'm not saying it to be, I'm not trying to be tongue in cheek. Legit, why?
Why?
Why should it be? What do I hear?
They think, I'm just going to put words in their mouth here, is that they think that if they have indexable and crawlability rights, they should be able to process this for the greater good of all of its users now that they are utilizing AI into search generative experience and the like.
So I have a bone to pick with this whole thing. And it's not just Google.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before. I think what OpenAI did was criminal to a certain extent because they went around scraping the web and and no one knew what was going on. And they started using the content to build their language, models.
Yeah.
Right now with Google, you knew the rules of engagement. If I have content, Google's going to index it, and you understand, right? It's a known entity, it's a known play with known rules. Mm-hmm. I can engage or not engage because I know the rules of the game. OpenAI was going around and just doing it, and that was not why. I didn't create content so you can train your model on this, and I get no attribution for it. And in terms of the social contract of the web, that never happened.
Nope.
So I think that was wrong, right? And I think what Google's doing here now is saying, that's not wrong. It's right. But why? Why is that right? Why is that good?
Well, I'll tell you.
What do I get out of it? Yeah. Forget ethics, okay? I'm a pragmatist.
Right.
What do I get out of it?
There's no transaction.
If you come and you get my content, you scrape my content, you crawl my content, I theoretically get traffic out of it. That's reciprocal.
But there's not, because SGE is going to be site-bound. I mean, again, we've been in the space of the SERP real estate, really answering questions with no need for additional destination. Yeah, you're right. There's no transaction here. It's the continued fueling the beast here. Hey, but Daniel Romaine, Vice President of Trust at Google Search, touched on this during a press release this last month. She said, "We believe everyone benefits from a vibrant content ecosystem. Key to that is web publishers having choice and control over their content, opportunities to derive value from participating in the web ecosystem. However, we recognize that existing web publisher controls were developed before new AI and research use cases. So as technologies emerge, they are presenting opportunities for the web community to evolve standards and protocols, yada, 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 yada. Okay, so point being is that if you want to participate in the global web ecosystem, Morty, you just have to let us scrape all your content."
First off, just from a pure business point of view, that's the play.
Yeah.
This is good for the web, because
absolutely.
That's a very contested point. A lot of people say this is not good for the web. So it's not like you tell me, look, you do this. kids will no longer have cancer. All right, look, I'm in. Right? It's for the greater good. I am in. Or we should do this because this is healthy for the. Many times we do things, I think, as SEOs because it's healthy for the web. But you haven't even established how this is healthy for the web. That itself is a contested point. How? How is this healthy for? I'm not saying it's not the evolution of the web. I'm not saying it's not where the web is headed. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
But how is that like the health of the web? If you didn't have it, what would happen?
I want to
think
know.
that's a shaming exercise. If you don't want to be part of the vibrant ecosystem, then go take your toys.
This is. I see. This is like my Jewish grandmother. I get it.
Would you,
what?
as a publisher,
You don't want to help the web?
Well, who are you?
So your opinion of whether or not you should aside, would you as a publisher feel nervous blocking that? Is this going to affect my ranking if I block Google's AI?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't.
Why not?
But because if that would be the same way that
the
same way that your ad spend should have nothing to do with your ability to rank organically. But people are always nervous about that kind of stuff. You've got one company controlling all this stuff. Are you worried that blocking the AI bot could hurt your ranking?
Wouldn't worry.
It's going to sit there in the back of your head.
First off, take the tinfoil off, all right? Number two, like if they did that, the fallout of that would destroy them.
Oh, I agree, but I'm still saying
it's like going nuclear, which is why they're not going to do that.
Let me rephrase. I'm not asking, are you worried? Do you think enough people will be worried?
And that's what we were talking about before the show.
If I was a big publisher, I would be like, just for the spite of it, block the AI bots.
All right.
Is it worth it? And we were talking about this before the show, is that when's it going to be worth it? I mean, you just posited the entire thought is that where's the transaction? Where's the value? Where's the benefit? If everything's getting sucked into the orbit and
there's no attribution.
No. Well,
the
they're trying. They're giving us a link here.
Right? With this.
And to prevent this, you just go into robot stack text and do disallow star. Is that what it is? Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That would work.
To our newest listeners, don't do that.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. So this is an ongoing. Have you ever seen anything move this fast in technology before?
I just don't understand what the thought process is.
Because they're the biggest.
It's a bad look. Yeah. It's bad optics, right? Because now they're coming up saying, "Well, give us your content. Let us take it," without offering any tangible. Because it's good for this reason, and the reason they're giving, people are going to look at this, and I'm not saying this in a spiteful, angry way, but people are just factually going to look at this and be like, what the hell are you talking about?
People are going to be up in arms if this keeps.
They already are. I put out a tweet like, "Oh yeah, Google's greedy." Blah blah blah. I don't think it's about. I think it's a little like, well, everybody's greedy, but
there's just some broad strokes that are being made here that shouldn't be made. There should be much more of a collaborative, transactional concept with publishers on the web, right? I mean, you know what's going on in Canada,
right? But the problem is that there's no way. What's the model for that? This doesn't work unless they have the content. Especially publisher content, because it needs to be updated. It needs to be like, who are the Yankees a good team? That's going to change in a month from now. So you need to have current content.
Okay.
But there's no incentive.
There is none. There is none.
Right. So the whole thing doesn't work.
It doesn't, because there's not equal footing. There's not equal footing of members of this participation. Right.
This is, you know what? This is where like bad blood comes back to bite you in the behind, because if there's already blood in the water, let's go with AMP, all the AMP nonsense, right?
Yep.
That publishers, you think like Barry Adams, right? Barry Adams hates AMP. Barry Adams working all these big news websites. There's a lot of bad blood and bad optics and bad relationships that have brewed over time because of those kind of things. Now that chick is going to come to roost, because now the publisher has all of the leverage. Google needs the publisher. The publisher loses nothing, in my opinion, by blocking the AI. But be like, I don't like what you did with all this. Y'all give us a hard time about that. Blah, blah, blah about this. Right? Think of all the fallout over the canonical tag stuff and the syndication, right?
Right.
Publisher's not happy. Publisher goes, all right, here's my chance for revenge.
I don't know. I think we've got some issues here. I mean, with Canada and Australia and everything that's been going on from news.
Oh, a lot of issues with Canada.
Oh,
blame Canada.
Might as well blame Canada on all this. Blame Canada. Never mind. Yeah. All right,
I
hey,
think they're so high and mighty in Canada. Oh, look how clean our country is.
talk about
For
incentivization here.
healthcare.
Let me tell you about Brightlocal. Let's mute us.
Ooh, Brightlocal.
They're an
And by the way, that background that you have there is very bright.
It is. It very well is. Yeah. It's a bright green logo for all the audio listeners to the podcast. Hey, we're proud to have them as a new sponsor of Edge. They're the leading local search platform that helps both businesses and agencies get more traffic and more leads from local search. So, got to check this out. Not only can you get everything that you need to grow your business, there are also some really good people as well. On August 30th of this month, and 31st, by the way, Brightlocal is actually hosting Local SEO for Good Live. This is a virtual local search conference that doubles as a fundraising event for a multitude of charities and the NPOs that are close to the hearts of the experts speaking and presenting. So you can get a ticket, or why don't you get 5 tickets? We'll put the link in the show notes itself, but here's some more generosity from Brightlocal. They're giving a 14-day free trial, and you can actually grab a special with this Edge offer. You can actually get $75 in local citation building credits when you take up a subscription. Simply go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/Brightlocal to sign up and give them a post or an X or a tweet, or what are we calling it anymore?
Posts.
They are posts now?
Posts. For this week.
The most bloody generic thing in the world.
Next week. Check in again.
Post to Brightlocal and give them some kudos for what they're doing with their local SEO conference there. So check that out. Thanks for joining us, Brightlocal. All right. Jumping in here.
Good folk.
Absolutely. They are good folk. They are good folk. And certainly want to send them some Edge listener love there. So jump over there and check out their toolbox. They got some really cool things in local SEO. All right. I got a short window here. Got to go through some tools. So I got some AI news here. I'll pick one out of the hat here, Jacob, and that's going to be the third one. Nvidia reveals a new AI chip saying costs for running learning language models will drop significantly. That's huge, and track that. I mean, Nvidia's been a huge chip manufacturer for the longest time, especially during the Bitcoin and that entire environment where the Nvidia processing boards were actually being used for mining. Now AI is center mass for what their chipsets are doing, and they are actually revealing a new AI chip. It's NVIDIA's GH200, has the same GPU as the H100, currently the highest end AI chip, but it pairs with 141 gigabytes of cutting-edge memory. Wow. So if you're watching anything in the AI space, check that out. Here's another AI set of a couple tools here real quick. I tried this out. This was creepy, guys. VocalReplica. You can clone any voice with just a YouTube video. Again, we don't promote, there's no endorsements of these tools. We just come across some random ones. This one's really weird. I actually did this, and I ran a clone of Dr. Pete, and it was freaky close. And it was one of our recent podcasts that we dropped here, and it's one of our Edge clips. Drop that in there. I have a JFK's To the Moon speech, right?
Yeah.
And it puts it in the voice of whoever it's actually cloning. So Dr. Pete was actually telling us how difficult it's going to be to get to the moon, and this is going to be our decade to shine. I can't even quote the speech. Anyway, it was weird. So check that out. Don't abuse it, folks, and you can't actually get anything out of this thing. You can't make it do anything. But I think that
Yes, you can.
Yeah, no, you can't.
You take it to another app and you upload the TTS file.
I have a question about the chips.
Yeah.
They come in barbecue.
That's a great question.
Did that.
Yep.
I ain't got time for this. Stop it. All right, so Looka is a very cool tool. Design your own beautiful brand, right? So you can actually set up and actually have your own brand designed by AI-powered platform there. Design a logo and build a brand that you will love. Yeah, why not get completely non-creative in building the most important thing to actually connect to your consumers? Why not?
Scalable. I started 19 companies this morning while you were preparing for the news, Aaron.
That's amazing. All right, we'll jump into last bit of information. But before anything else, we want to tell you about InLinks. Talk about some really cool AI. They've got a great new social media tool that solves a big problem that other tools just can't. InLinks doesn't use keyword research tools to tell you what to talk about on social media. It actually uses your own content yourself. That's right. It actually, your own content. That's right. It actually starts planning a social media campaign by analyzing your current content on your website and creating topical, relevant ideas to engage your audience and build a valuable social media content plan. We've actually used that ourselves. We ran it through Edge of the Web, and that's some pretty cool things that it's actually coming up with. With your content driving your social media content, there are no worries about relevant call to action pages or connecting social posts to the correct page. InLinks does all that for you. If you're an agency, you can provide quick, relevant, actionable, and exceptional social media schedules for your clients based on their current website content. So check that out. Go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/InLinks today and claim your free InLinks account and start trying that out. It's pretty cool. And been a long-term sponsor of the show. We certainly want you to go check them out. Let them know that Edge sent you. All right. One article from Barry's Blast. Don't have time for three. I'm going to pick this one out of the hat. Google search Major League Baseball recent featured highlights. How about that?
Yes. Yes.
Pick just for Morty.
Just for Morty. Morty, what the heck's going on here?
Okay, so when you search for like a player, like I don't know, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is a baseball player, very good baseball player, very famous baseball player. You get the normal knowledge panel, but now on mobile, at least in the US, you get another thing that says, "Hey, recent featured highlights," and it's a whole like section, whole little carousel of highlights from that player, and you can scroll through and see, Aaron Judge's solo home run, number 21. And you can see a little video on that. It's hooked up right to the MLB. Major League Baseball must be in partnership with Major League Baseball, obviously. And for all sorts of players, so the really stinky ones don't get one. And sometimes it says recent featured highlights. The recent featured highlights are like 70 days ago.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So recent is relative.
But if they tell you it's 70 days ago, I guess that's okay, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I'm just saying.
wouldn't
It's cool though.
Wouldn't the impressiveness of the highlight change how long it should stick around as a highlight?
No, but if I want to see only the recent ones.
Right, but I'm saying if someone pitches a no-hitter, shouldn't that linger a little bit more than a week?
Does that have something to do with
what do you want
vaping?
from me here?
I don't know.
What do you want me to say here exactly?
I'm right.
I'm not. Yeah, okay, you're right.
I thought so.
Gosh, the grief I get on this show.
You love it. You're a masochist. I have no idea why this is relevant to an SEO show. I mean, come on.
Baseball or
Yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that. I'll piss
It's
off.
SEO
I will piss
voyeurism.
off Glenn Gabe if I do that. I'm sorry, Glenn.
it's SEO voyeurism. Oh, look at the SERP. Changed.
One more Barry Blast. Let's give him the intro that he deserves. All right, so it's always an honor of Barry Schwartz because he's cranking out the content all the time. The last thing from an SEO public service announcement, we really want to swing back around. On August 8th, he wrote, Google, maybe don't let Google search index your AI chatbot output. How about that? With all the AI chatbots out there, Google search seems to be seeing more and more of them publishing AI-generated output content in the wild. And if you don't want Google indexing that content, make sure to block Googlebot from seeing it. John Mueller on Google posted that public service announcement on Twitter, or X. PSA, if you're implementing a AI chatbot on a site and you don't want its output to be seen as part of your site, for indexing, use a roboted iframe, a roboted JavaScript resource, or maybe use data no snippet to block it in the snippet. So I think a few conversations were being had there, and I saw a couple things on Twitter. And Glenn Gabe, I think, also jumped in there. You don't want AI content published. If it's a chatbot, the chatbot's built to actually flow a particular conversation around, right? You don't want to have all that content indexable. You're just going to be tilting the scale even more that you don't have authentic content.
Unless you do.
Unless
you want to ask it like, hey, how many home runs did Aaron Judge hit? And that's your website about Aaron Judge's home runs. So like you could have the AI create content that never actually shows up on the website itself because you don't want it there.
I've got a terrible idea.
AaronJudgeHomerun.com.
If you knew of somebody else's website, a competitor of yours.
Oh, that's great. Perfect. That's exactly what you should be doing. I like the way you think.
We should start up Mordy's SEOadvice.com.
and just start pummeling it with erroneous facts and information, all of which gets published in the tome of content that you're generating. No. That would be a bad thing. Never take that idea from us.
We could use VocalReplica to then have Morty read everything as a video.
Ooh, and have the video tool to actually create that video with a representation avatar of Morty.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're cooking something. We're mad scientists over here, folks.
This is great stuff.
No, do not sabotage unwary competitors with this.
Unless they're terrible people, in which case sabotage.
Yeah, sabotage.
Play cue Beastie Boys music.
Please stop sabotaging Morty. That's the point of this show today.
All right. Well, you know what? That said, let's pivot around and find out who's actually on SEO chat this week. Hashtag SEO chat on Twit X thing, whatever that is. Who's there?
Who the hell knows? Nitin Manchanda is hosting an SEO chat all about enterprise SEO. No, it's not Star Trek. That's a different enterprise. This means enterprise in terms of the size of your organization or starship, whatever you want. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitter. I'm not calling it X on Thursday. See you there. Enterprise. Beat me up, Scotty.
I mean, literally,
I
AI.
feel like I surprised you with your own guest there.
I forgot who was hosting.
He was waiting for that visual cue. He's like, oh, I hope it's on the screen in a minute.
Waiting. I was pretty sure it was Nitin. But you know what got me confused? Because I put a tweet out today where I took a video of Eli Schwartz talking about enterprise SEO for the Surf Sub podcast.
Yeah.
And used that as a tie into SEO chat. I'm like, wait a second. Eli's not hosting. Is he hosting? And I got a little confused.
And we have it on record.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Those are the moments that are going to train AI. You realize that? Those flubs?
I'm going to train AI?
Yeah, you are. I'm believing
First
that.
off, I want to Google. Google, do you really want me to be training your stuff?
It's that human element. That human jackass element that's going to actually be our undoing. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause, Morty?
Sorry?
Anything else for the good of the cause? Are we done?
What cause?
The cause.
Oh.
All right.
No, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. All right. That's it for the Edge. News out. Check out our... who's on our show coming up? The interview series.
Steve?
Sarah McDowell.
Sarah McDowell's coming out. No.
Sarah McDowell is lovely.
No, you understand.
Love
I asked
Sarah
Jake.
McDowell.
Yeah, we had a great conversation, and we're showing
She
that
is
first
fabulous.
episode this week, and certainly appreciate her SEO Mindset podcast. That was a fun discussion here. So.
That is a great podcast. Sarah, we apologize on behalf of Aaron for not remembering that you were the next guest.
Oh, I'll edit this all out. Just trust me. We're a command here. we got all this. We'll make you look terrible, but you know what? We'll.
You don't have to try hard for that.
No, there's no editing involved.
All right. Well, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're putting out some great bits of information, snackable videos on a regular basis. Hey, if you like what you heard up until Morty forgot the name of the SEO chat guest, then go over to iTunes or just actually go over to ratethispodcast.com/edge today. Let us know how we did on our show, because that helps us get higher and higher in the algorithm and be able to connect with listeners just like you. But you're the coolest ones. You guys are the coolest ones because you're hanging out still, right? Yeah. All right. So from all of us over at Edge, thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week.